Hey everyone, this is WobblyWallaby. Today I'm going to try a class that many love, but have gotten no love from the developers for PvE. I'm talking about the Phantom Dancer class. Is this a D tier PvE class? Can I make a viable Phantom Dancer PvE build? Stay tuned to find out. You might ask, why on earth would you try a Phantom Dancer build for PvE? In my quest to make a PvE tier list, I wanted to try each class. Phantom Dancer is not a class I see for PvE, and I often see it more for PvP and sometimes for farming. But how bad is it for PvE? Despite having the third line Shadow Spike Ruin, where backstab during pick 'em off could ignore defense, my experiment to create a meme backstab build against bosses failed miserably. The cast delay and skill cooldown is just too long for backstab and death stealth, so the other more viable build is the Combo Arrow build. Combo Arrow is quite an attractive skill since it has a lot of damage multipliers. It uses both double strafe and triangle shot damage, both of which have runes to support it. Triangle shot also has multipliers from the weapon Robin Hood's bow. Unfortunately, where Phantom Dancer is really lacking are passives or skills that make it do more damage. Sure, you can plagiarize Overthrust for 25% more attack, but you lack crazy high damage buffs compared to other classes. Also, sadly, Mark of Death doesn't appear to work on bosses, so that's a bit depressing, since that could have been a great source of damage. Phantom Dancers do have the ability to create shadows that can inherit some of your attributes and auto attacks, but the damage is really low. The dev should make this do extra damage to bosses or monsters. Now, if you want to play off-meta builds and need gadgets to make it appear viable, then try Smile.1. Smile.1 allows you to get discounted BCC and premiums for Ragnarok Mobile. They have been around for more than 8 years and have lots of global business partners for other games too. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks to Smile.1 for sponsoring this video. Here are the skills I use for my Combo Arrow Phantom Dancer for PvE. Here are my Thief skills. Here are my Rogue skills. Here are my Stalker skills. Here are my Shadow Chaser skills. For Phantom Dancer, get all the skills with your Time Quicksand. For my first manual bar, I use Hide, Illusion Storm, Practice While Learning, which I still Overthrust for 25% attack increase. Then I had Magic Trap, Bloodthirst, and Shadow Clone. For my second manual bar, I have Shadow Sacrifice, Plagiarism, Bloodthirst, Shadow Clone, Combo Arrow, and Mark of Death. For my auto attack bar, I use Illusion Storm and Combo Arrow if I'm fighting against field MVPs. If you hit a boss with auto attack only, it will teleport away. Illusion Storm has a big damage multiplier, which is nice, and it can also be converted. If I'm doing legend instances, then I also add auto attack. This is due to my setup where I go for 480% attack speed and have high auto attack damage. When I add it, I was able to do more damage in a span of 30 seconds. For example, without auto attack, my damage within 30 seconds is 763 million. Combo Arrow procs 27 times and Illusion Storm 7 times. With auto attack on, I hit for 801 million. My Combo Arrow procs 21 times, which is 6 less than before. My Illusion Storm 6 times, which is 1 less than before. My auto attack can do a bunch of damage plus some of the passives that do extra damage during an auto attack. Next, for attributes, I max Dex for range damage. Then I max Luck due to using the Mastering Star card. I put enough agility to get 480% attack speed, and the rest into Vitality. This is a pure glass cannon build. With Overthrust max and B-Mills, I have 27,000 attack, 55.5% penetration, 177 crit. Skill damage increases at 28%. Damage is 162.6%. Physical damage increases at 92.8%. And my ignore defense is at 157.5%. Next for gear, I'm using the Eagle Flute for range damage increase. I'm using the Alistar card for damage to MVP monsters. For armor, I use the Voodoo Armor for ignore defense and penetration percentage. I use the Heart card for MVP damage. For garment, I use Brave Warrior's Pauldron for skill damage percentage and ignore defense. For card, I use the Mastering Star card for physical damage increase. For footgear, I use the Dragon Slayer's War Boots for the attack percentage and penetration percentage. For card, I use the Flute Player card for more move speed. For my first accessory, I use the Gold Earring for the raw damage and penetration percentage. For card, I use the Moonlight Tendrillion Star card. For my second accessory, I use the same thing, another Gold Earring with the Moonlight Tendrillion Star card. For weapon, I use the Robin Hood's Bow for a nice triangle shot damage increase. I have a Menorah Star card and Menorah's card. My second Menorah Star card is deposited, so I can activate the inside effect of the Menorah's card in order to get 50% ignore defense. For head, I'm using the Holy Knight's Blessing for skill damage and the Machine Dragon Wing card for MVP damage. For face, mouth, back and tail, I use gachas that give MVP damage. This allows for good damage for both auto attack and skills. For face, I use the Cute Blower. For mouth, I use the Huge Bounty. For back, Goodwill Gift Box. For tail, I use the Rock Bunny for the move speed and MVP damage. For Oracle Mirror, I use the plus 10 bill for MVP damage. Also the Deathcat Armor for silence and stun resist. For Relic, I use the Wave's Size for dex, attack, and attack percentage. Next for Advanced Ruins, this is what I use for PvE. I just filled up enough so that I could use as many damage increasing attribute ruins. This is why I have an empty spot here. I use the Magic Forbidden Field for more magic trap damage. I use Death Notice for Mark of Death damage increase. This works on some monsters but sadly not bosses. I use the Arrow Combo Ruin for triangle shot damage. Soul Cracking Assault Ruin for chance to cast Disabling Strike during an auto attack. And the Rapid Continuous Shooting Ruin for double strafe damage. Next for Adventure Handbook, I have 2792 attack and 85% attack deposits. Next, let's see this build in action. If you're tryharding so much with Phantom Dancer, then surely it must do well in PvE. Well, sadly, the damage output is too low. I usually use the Golem as a punching bag to determine if a class is good for PvE. Usually it's against a Legend version, but even against a Brave version the output is just too low. I couldn't solo clear the Brave level Golem before I got the unavoidable death. This class could really use skills that give it more skill damage or penetration percentage. Also, when it comes to survivability, sadly it relies on the Shadow clones for distracting bosses or reducing damage with Shadow Sacrifice. Furthermore, you don't have great support skills to help your teammates either, so you're not going to be a great team player either. Honestly, you're better off choosing another class like Lightbringer, Taekwon, Dorum, or Novice Guardian. Your skill damage will be a lot higher with those classes. Without a high damage nuking skill, you also have a hard time dealing with the flinching when being hit. I tried boss hunting with Phantom Dancer and it was painful. There aren't any skills that make this class move quickly or nuke bosses, so you have a hard time competing with MVP hunting classes. You can do this for the memes, I guess. With significantly lower deposits and gear, Lightbringers, Saitamas, or Watarus would be one-shotting all these low-board MVPs. When it comes to AoE, Magic Trap, Bloodthirst, and Illusion Storm just aren't strong enough, so even in Oracle Dungeon you can't compete with classes like Arcane Master for AoE damage. Probably the only PvE instance where Phantom Dancer can be really useful for free-to-play players is to use Hide and Bloodthirst to deal with the Echoing Corridor mobs. This was a popular trick for people struggling to clear Echoing Corridor back in the day. You can cheese out the mobs, but it will take a really long time. It was fun to attempt this build, but sadly I'd give this a PvE tier rank of D. I really wouldn't recommend anyone attempt this build, whether you be free to play or pay to win. Do you have any builds you wish were good? Let me know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Here's a video that I would recommend, and if you want a playlist with more viable classes, click here.